This video is from the heart and it's investing advice I wish I could go back and give my 18-year-old self. Now, I wasn't taught about money at school and up until 2018 had a difficult relationship with money and investing, but a sleeping bag and a Tony Robbins video changed all that. Long story short, I was miserable in my job and was staying in dodgy bed and breakfasts, working away from home. This meant I had to use my sleeping bag. This miserable situation led to personal development videos on YouTube and Tony Robbins. This led to setting goals, and 7 years later, I'm now a successful investor with 23 years experience. So today I'm going to tell you the 5 lessons schools fail to teach us, but first I'll tell you why we all need to retire as fast as possible. Now you might be thinking I'm 20 or 25 and I couldn't give a toss about investing for retirement. All I care about is getting a nice car and getting on as many nights out as possible. Hopefully, this little story will change your mind. Going back to 2007, maybe 2008, I knew in my mid-20s that I needed to change. At the time, I was working with good people, but I really didn't like what I was seeing day after day. An example is Frank Raw, who was in his mid-60s. Now, I loved Frank. I just hope my work situation didn't mirror his by the time I was his age. Struggling to earn a living as a contractor, I was working most weekends just to bump up my wages. I was working with a guy called Frank, who was really good at his job and had been a contractor all his life. He was 64 and was only 12 months from retiring. On a particular cold Sunday morning, and you're talking minus 10 degrees, we were working outside. As it was a Sunday, it was the last place I wanted to be. We were both working all hours and were trying our best to keep our spirits up. This life was bad enough for a 25-year-old, me, but I really didn't like to see old Frank struggling away on a Sunday at his age. It would be worth it though for old Frank, as his big plan was to take his wife of 45 years to their villa in Spain. A villa he proudly told me was just about paid off. I decided on that cold Sunday morning that I had to do something different. I point blank refused to be working on the weekends in my 50s, in my 60s. To make things worse for old Frank, things didn't pan out as he was hoping. He did get to retire at 65, but he didn't get to retire in the sunset with his wife. Sadly, his wife had a massive stroke and he became her full-time carer in England. His dreams were shattered. So if you are in your 20s or 30s, whatever age you are, make investing a huge priority so you can retire much earlier than 65. Just imagine retiring in your 50s or even your 40s. This is what drives me every single day, as I want that financial freedom to spend more time with the people I love and more time helping people to achieve their financial goals in my school community. If you want to learn exactly how to invest, you can join my investing community. In school, all you've got to do is type yes in the comments below and you'll get lifetime access. Lesson 1. What is financial literacy? Let me take you back to 2009. My cousin, who was already clued up on money and investing, got his master's degree in economics. So he was aware that the financial system was broken, even before the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. Just 2 years later, this knowledge led my cousin to something called Bitcoin. Imagine getting into Bitcoin in 2011. Let's just say that financial literacy has worked out quite well for this particular cousin of mine. By the way, if you want to learn all about Bitcoin, I've left a link below for a video in there that will give you all the info you need. Financial literacy is the ability to make smart financial decisions that help you achieve the lifestyle you want. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to do more of what I love doing with the people I love. Financial freedom. More experience, more time with my wife and 2 daughters, more holidays, weekends away in different cities, more time in the gym. The more financially literate you are, the better decisions you will make with your money. So the more money you're going to have. You could have the best paying job in the world and still have no money. Just because you make good money or more money doesn't make you better at managing it. I know many contractors who I've worked with who have earned really good money but spend every single penny. I've been there, by the way, before 2019, before I took the time to educate myself. You could also have a low paying job but still build wealth because you have good money management skills. Without financial literacy, money gets wasted. The sad reality is that most people will struggle in retirement. Being more financially literate helps you get closer to your financial goals. Lesson 2, the power of compounding. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. Who doesn't, pays it. Is often attributed to Albert Einstein. He was quite smart, so it's fair to assume he was probably right. Most schools don't emphasize how important, how powerful compound interest is over time. I didn't hear the word compounding once while I was at school personally. Investing early and consistently can lead to exponential growth in wealth, even with relatively small amounts. This is a concept that truly shows its magic when you give it time. If I would have understood what compound interest can do, I wouldn't have stopped investing at 18 years of age. Because if I would have kept investing £500 every month from 18 onwards, I would have been retired at 40, easy, and I'd be living life on my own terms, not working in a job I have zero passion for, stuck in the rat race. Let's put the numbers into a compound interest calculator. Assuming I invested £500 in the S&P 500 every month for 22 years, and assuming I achieved on average 10% interest per annum, I would have had £476,586. £344,000 of that is because of compound interest. Let that sink in for a minute. It's important. It can affect you negatively with things like loans and credit cards, and positive with investments like low-cost index funds. If you're not sure how to invest in index funds and take advantage of compound interest, see below and I'll leave some links for videos where I talk about index investing, telling you everything you need to know. Lesson 3, how to learn. This is also something that was never taught at school from my experience. Learning how to learn is an important skill, and in today's video it's going to be specific to money and investing. To learn about financial literacy, you can start off with getting as much free knowledge as possible with YouTube videos like this one, blogs, podcasts and other free resources. You can also take it another step up and buy books, courses, programs and even use mentors and experts. This is what I done back in 2018 and 2019 when I really started to take financial education seriously. When it sinks in and you understand how important investing is, you want to learn as much as possible. Trust me, I know too many friends and family who get to the late 50s and early 60s and haven't invested because they were never taught about money and investing at school, and it's painful to see them struggle as they approach retirement. The best way for me to learn has been by reading books and taking notes. I'll read on my Kindle, and if there's anything I feel worth remembering, I'll save that information in my notes on my iPhone. After finishing the book, I'll review them notes. Then I'm learning the information, and I'm not just humping and dumping. The best way to learn about financial literacy is to take action and practice it. You could read everything there is to read about money and investing in the stock market, for example, but if you don't actually invest, you're not applying that knowledge. Going back to 2019, I read 30 to 40 investing books in just 6 months, then put that knowledge into action by investing into the stock market with a low-cost index fund. Making mistakes is another good way to learn. This is why I would suggest you start investing as soon as possible. If you have very little to invest, but you make a start and do it for a few months or even a few years, you'll make mistakes, learn and gain valuable experience. I feel you have to make mistakes along the way before succeeding at anything, and I've found this to be the case with investing. But if you wait till you have more money to invest, you procrastinate, you'll still make those same mistakes, and it will cost you a lot more. Now, I know financial literacy isn't the most exciting topic, but financial literacy is probably the most important topic. Money is something we all need, and the more money we have, the more freedom we have, in my opinion. And the more money we waste, the more time we waste. Money is the world's most valuable tool because it gives you more time back. So bear that in mind and educate yourself on financial literacy so you can reach your financial goals as soon as possible and live the lifestyle you always wanted. If you want to learn faster and save valuable time, you can join my free school community. See the description below for the link. All I'm saying with this point is that it's important to think about how you learn. I learn by writing stuff down and going back to that info again, as I've said, again and again, so that info really sinks in. I'll watch a YouTube video on 2x speed, and if I get to something I want to learn, I'll write it down in my notes. Before we move on, I just want to tell you that this video shouldn't be taken as financial advice. Lesson 4, saving money. If we're being honest, we can all save more money, in my opinion. You can do it by choosing supermarkets like Aldi or Lidl. You can save more by spending less on nights out, less takeaways, etc. I know it's hard, but from my experience, you educate yourself. You realise how important investing actually is, and you find a way to save money every single month. No excuses, just get it done. And I'm not being blasé, I just know it's important to start saving and investing ASAP. Money is something me and my wife used to constantly argue about, but over the last few years, we talk openly about it, and the arguments, thankfully, have stopped. Like the fact that we sit down and do a little money plan for the week every Sunday. Saving is important before you start investing because it builds a financial foundation and protects you from unexpected risks. Before financial education, I was a rubbish saver, but since learning about money and investing, learning how to manage money, I was able to cut expenses and save money. I also found other ways to earn money, like doing overtime at work. And more recently, I've started a TikTok shop to encourage my daughters that there's different ways to earn money and they don't have to start working at Mackie D's. So now I can save more money and therefore invest more money. Learn about money and you will get good at personal finances, like going through your bank statements and creating a little budget. Then you make the necessary cuts. One more thing before you invest, because it's massively important to have an emergency fund, a savings cushion that covers 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, and this is what most experts recommend. This fund helps you handle unexpected events like losing a job, medical emergencies, or like a new boiler, for example. And that cash buffer means you don't have to sell investments or take on extra debt. So you know how important financial literacy is. You now know all about compounding. You know how to learn so the info really sinks in. You've saved money and you have your cash buffer. This brings calmness and it also means you're ready to invest. Lesson 5, investing money. Investing as a beginner can feel overwhelming, but a safe way to get started is with a low-cost index fund. Now, I think investing in index funds is a perfect starting point to get into investing. And to finish off this little video, I'm going to give you a crash course. Index funds are a popular choice because they're simple, diversified, and generally less risky compared to picking individual stocks. An index fund is a type of investment that tracks a specific market index, like the S&P 500, which represents 500 of the largest US companies. Instead of trying to beat the market by picking individual stocks, index funds aim to match the performance of the market as a whole by holding a broad collection of stocks or bonds or both. Here's some of the key benefits of index funds. Diversification. You invest in many companies at once, which spreads out your risk. Low fees. They typically have low management costs, called expense ratios, than actively managed funds because they simply track an index rather than requiring a team of managers to make decisions. Long-term growth. Historically, index funds tend to grow steadily over the long term, even if there are short-term ups and downs in the market. And looking at the S&P 500, you're looking at average returns of 10% per annum based on historical data. But why low-cost index fund? The low-cost part is key. The fees associated with an investment can seriously eat into your returns over time. With index funds, since there's no active management, fees are much lower than other types of investments. Over many years, these savings can make a massive difference in your total returns. If you want a step-by-step guide on how to invest in index funds, see below for them videos I mentioned earlier in the video. Index investing is my favorite way to invest. This is because it's set and forget and it's stress-free. But if you have enough experience, enough financial literacy, you can get much higher returns with individual stocks or even crypto. And when you really look into inflation, it's much higher than 2 to 3%. the figures governments and central banks like to report. If you listen to people like Raoul Pal, who's the CEO and co-founder of Real Vision, inflation is more like 11% because of currency debasement. So the question is investing in the S&P 500 and getting them 10% returns enough? Well, to get the answer to that particular question in full, see below in the description again for a video I published just a few weeks ago. Summary. The info I've provided in this video, in my humble opinion, is hugely important. So if you are serious about investing, it's probably worth watching this video again and maybe taking some notes. If I had access to this info before I left school, before I started work, things would have been a lot different. And I would have been retired and financially free at 40 years old or sooner. Easy. If you know anyone who would benefit from this video, share it with them so they can get that info we all should have been taught at school, and so they can start investing as soon as possible. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, all the good stuff us YouTubers need to help grow our channels. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.